Hi, Charles Cherney here, and in this video I want you to meet me in Inman Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So Inman Square is found in the Wellington-Harrington neighborhood, which is adjacent to East Cambridge, and you could argue and make the case that Inman Square does in fact straddle the Cambridge-Somerville line. So you could argue it belongs to both communities. Most people think of Inman Square as being in Cambridge, but as we'll see in this video, it does cross over the Cambridge-Somerville line. So here we are looking at Google Maps, and you can see Inman Square essentially is this main intersection where Hampshire Street meets Cambridge Street. So here's Cambridge Street running right through Inman Square. Cambridge Street, if you will, is the main street. And then coming from Somerville, Beacon Street changes its name when it crosses into Cambridge. This is the Cambridge-Somerville line right here, and becomes known as Hampshire Street. And Hampshire Street continues right through Inman Square. Inman Square, like all the squares of Cambridge, is not an area with a defined boundary. Rather, it takes its identity from an intersection, which is here, where Cambridge and Hampshire meet. And then it's the area all around, if you will, extending out from the main intersection that gives the square its identity. So that's Inman Square, and as you're going to see in the video, it continues right down Cambridge Street. I've put a red circle on the map just to sort of help you identify the center, but these shop services and restaurants that extend all the way down Cambridge Street and down Hampshire Street and up Beacon are all part and parcel of Inman Square. So here's the city of Cambridge map that shows Inman Square, and it turns out that this main intersection that defines Inman Square is in the process of reinvention in terms of traffic flow and bike paths and pedestrian crossings. So it's a work in progress. As I make this video in 2023, it's nearing completion, but work still continues on the heart of Inman Square. And we're looking at the heart of Inman Square here. It's this large cow pasture intersection, so quintessentially New England in its shape and size. And for people from out of town, it's often overwhelming to understand, since it's not the classic American intersection by any stretch. Certainly with the improvements to the main Inman Square light, things are intended to be safer and easier to navigate, but it's still a bit overwhelming for the first-time visitor to understand the heart of Inman Square. You can see the construction sign here at Vellucci Plaza in the heart of Inman Square. Storm fencing is still up, and work does continue. I travel through Inman Square every day as I live nearby, and they're not ignoring the work site. It's getting attention. It's just taking time, and it's been taking a number of years. I know everyone's excited for work to come to completion. You can see here Vellucci Plaza is the final piece to be completed in the heart of Inman. I'm sure that the restaurants and shops and services adjacent to the work site will be very happy when everything's said and done. I've just taken several different shots to show Inman Square itself, and you can see the new bike lanes and pedestrian pathways to get you across the intersection safely. Bike path extends now in front of the firehouse, and it even crosses here Hampshire Street. Cambridge Savings Bank, this building in the heart of Inman Square, is a distinctive landmark that gives Inman Square its identity. It even says there on the building, as you look at the entrance, Inman Square on the building itself, and it's a distinctive brick building. I love the weather vane atop it there. This is just, again, me showing with some photos I took this last several weeks how the bike lanes function, and it's intended to make it safer for bikes to pass through, as do, as you can see, trucks and cars as well, to make it safer for everyone. And there's some plantings and hanging flowers to dress it up. And we're looking here at the remnant of what was initially Vellucci Plaza, closer to the Cambridge side of the square, not far from where the square continues up Cambridge Street to mid-Cambridge. And so they did save a portion of it as they relocated Vellucci Plaza to the center of Inman Square. And here we're just looking towards Harvard Square and Harvard Yard and the flow of traffic on Cambridge Street coming in adjacent to Antrim Street, which is where I'm standing when I took this photo. In Inman Square at Antrim Street on Cambridge Street is the Inman Square Pharmacy. And this is an old school pharmacy where the people who work here know your name. And it's a throwback to a quieter, slower time and pace. It's a very nice old school pharmacy. I've been in here more than once of recent time to help my mom fill some prescriptions. And they couldn't be nicer. Here is the firehouse in the heart of Inman Square, and it is an active firehouse, of course. So if a fire truck is coming in or out, the traffic lights are frozen to give the fire truck the opportunity to safely exit or enter the firehouse. And atop it is this famous mural that dates from 1976, done for the bicentennial. And it's a mural that was based on some actual firefighters who were working at this firehouse at the time the mural was completed. And in addition, it's nice to see the mural includes the Dalmatian Buff. You can see there at the lower left corner, as well as our dear friends Benjamin Franklin and George Washington, who are in the mix of this mural. So it's on one side of the firehouse in Inman Square. It's fun. Down Springfield Street, which is a side street off Inman Square at the heart, is Ole Mexican Restaurant. And it's great to have your guacamole made and prepared for you tableside at this mainstay address in Inman Square. And of course, 1369 Coffee House is also found in the heart of Inman Square at the top of Springfield Street, right on Cambridge Street. And it's been around forever. Glad they hung in there and survived the pandemic and remain open. They have a second establishment in Central Square. And, this one is always busy and draws a regular clientele. You can see with the changes made to the square, there's now a bike path in front of the coffee house and an expanded sidewalk. It actually serves the coffee house and other establishments to have a little bit more of an apron, if you will, separating it from the street. And this is a view in the opposite direction coming out of 1369 Coffee House, where you can see there's a new bus station stop. And, it's just all things said and done, a better urban fabric for pedestrians and bicyclists, cars and buses to share the streetscape. Just a few doors down from the coffee house is the Druid, a classic Irish pub, and it's been around forever as well. It draws a good crowd. They have live music, and it's really a big part of the identity of Inman Square. Its neighbor, in turn, is Lily Pad, which is a music venue and event space. And it's known for an eclectic lineup of music, jazz, punk, classical, you name it. It's been here. And it's this classic storefront that's been converted into an event space. And it's been around now for quite some time. So it's nice to see it celebrating musicians and supporting events that are looking for a home and to be part and parcel of the Inman Square scene. As you continue down Cambridge Street, it's one interesting place after another. Here is Gather Here, which is a fabric and yarn store and sewing studio offering knitting classes and various events for people in the community. And its founder and owner is Virginia Johnson. This is a picture of her with me in her shop. And I actually, before the pandemic, made a film about Gather Here and Virginia. And I have a link below if you wish to watch that and learn more about this wonderful makerspace. Across from Gather Here on the other side of Cambridge Street is S&S Deli and Restaurant. And it's been around for, I think going on 100 years. And well, it says right there on the sign since 1919, so over 100 years, which is great. And if you go on their website, they share the tale that Ma Edelstein, part of the family running the establishment in the 1930s, used to greet arriving guests with a warm S&S. That's Yiddish for eat and eat, spelled E-S, so S&S. And somehow that came to lead to the name we know it by today, which is S&S. And, it's a classic deli. They've got a number of tables in a larger space for sit-down diners as well as takeout to go. And don't miss out on the chicken noodle soup. Again, on Cambridge Street, across from S&S and down a bit is the Inman Square hardware store. And as I live in the neighborhood myself, I'm grateful for such a hardware store, where they have everything and the staff is approachable and can always help you with whatever you're looking for. And again, it's a throwback, it's old school, and it's great that it's here and then it continues to thrive. There is, too, a small post office. This had closed for a period of time in the pandemic, and it's open again, which I'm grateful for, and I hope it remains open, And, it's hard to believe you have to say that, but in the modern world, you're grateful for your corner post office. Next to the post office are a couple of wonderful shops, Albertine Press and We Thieves. We Thieves is a vintage clothing store, and Albertine Press is a stationery and gifts store with a hand-lettered press. Wonderful shop. Actually, I went in there and commissioned Shelley, the owner, to make for me on her hand-lettered press some beautiful note cards for the squares of Cambridge and the squares of Somerville. And so obviously this is the one for Cambridge, and you can see it includes Inman Square. The squares of Cambridge are Porter Square, Harvard Square, Central Square, Inman, and Kendall. They're all shown here on this lovely hand-lettered press card that Shelley made for me at Albertine Press. Next to Albertine and We Thieves is a restaurant, and there are quite a few in the Inman Square area. This one, Bomdo, is serving breakfast all day. And its neighbor is Christina's Homemade Ice Cream. And as I live in the neighborhood, I must confess I've been going in here for years. There's something very wonderful about stepping in a local ice cream shop, especially one as special as Christina's that makes homemade ice cream and also has sorbets. Everyone's always in a good mood at Christina's. Across the street at the corner of Prospect and Cambridge, actually it's on the same side as Christina's, is the All-Star Sandwich Bar, another local institution in Inman Square, and a great mix of sandwiches on the menu, sit down and take out. And across the street from it is its sister restaurant, if you will, the All-Star Pizza Bar. And this is our family's local pizza place and great for a slice or a pie. They've got a variety of offerings, including the classics. It's nice to see Inman Square Wine and Spirits dress up this facade for their establishment, and it's been a nice addition to Inman Square. A mainstay of Inman Square is Casa Portugal, seen here, Portuguese restaurant, and it's nice that they have in season added, as you can see here, some outdoor seating, and other establishments in Inman Square have done the same. It's a nice way to dine in the summer, and they're well-maintained outdoor spaces. A newcomer on Cambridge Street across from Casa Portugal is, and I hope I'm saying this right, An Shibeen. That's an Irish phrase, means homemade whiskey, and it refers to an illicit bar or club serving whiskey in Ireland back in the day. And what we've got here on Cambridge Street in Inman Square is a modern speakeasy whiskey bar, if you will, which is legally serving whiskey and other drinks, and it's a neighboring water hole. And I love how well maintained it is, and the fresh flowers to invite visitors in. And it's a real nice newcomer to Inman Square. Across the street is another watering hole, New Republic. So back in the day in Central Square, or just outside of Central Square on Mass Ave, was People's Republic, a Soviet-themed bar that closed in December 2020 after a 23-year run. And when it closed, I think a lot of people were sad to lose it, but the People's Republic successor, if you will, has now opened in Inman Square in this building where there have been other bars before it. Now it's New Republic is the name of it. And I'm sure that many of the people who ventured over to People's Republic back in the day have found New Republic, and it has a good vibe and scene, just like An Shibeen. So two good watering holes in Inman Square on Cambridge, as well as the Druid. So there's multiple watering holes. Next door to New Republic is Puritan and Company, a foodie destination serving a real nice menu. It's a restaurant of Will Gilson. It's modern American cuisine in the main. And they've recently opened an oyster bar as well. So you've got an option to do oysters as well. It's nice to walk by here at night when it's thriving and many people are dining and enjoying themselves on a fancy night out. It's been a mainstay now for some time in Inman Square. They too, as you can see, have outdoor seating, which is great. You know, there are some pretty straight ahead shops as well in Inman Square, including City Paint, where over the years I've gone in many a time for paint, and it's very active very early in the morning as painters come to get what they need for the day. And then just down the street from City Paint is Clover, which is one of a number of Clover vegetarian restaurants in the greater Boston area. This particular Clover is an active and busy establishment, and you can get food here to sit down or take out. And beyond it, just off Cambridge Street on Webster Avenue is Inman Crossing. This is a 36-unit new construction building with an elevator and underground parking. And I listed and sold the units in this building, which was just completed in the last several years. So this is a newcomer bringing in a lot of new residents to Inman Square. And it's part and parcel of the emergence of a number of new development buildings in Inman Square in recent times. So it certainly was a pleasure for me to list the units for sale in this building on a site that formerly housed an industrial building. So again, we're looking here at the map of Inman Square, and we just walked down Cambridge Street towards Boston to see those various shops and services, and finished our tour in this direction by showing you Inman Crossing here. And now I just wanted to orientate you by showing you the map again. I wanted to take us down Hampshire Street in this direction as we leave the heart of Inman Square. So nice signage here. Here's Inman Street meeting Hampshire Street. The Bank of America, which we see here, is in a building that once housed Ryle's Jazz Club. The building itself was completely renovated top to bottom, and when the renovation was completed, the Jazz Club was replaced by a bank and housing above. Its neighbors are Zuzu's, a wine and dessert bar, and next to it is a hair salon. And then as you continue further up Hampshire Street and reach Prospect, there is a Brooklyn bagel factory, which took over a space formerly occupied by a dry cleaner in a building that otherwise is residential above. This is a newcomer. It's interesting, on this end of Inman Square, you do have some unexpected elements. Here's a Shell gas station that sits at the corner of Hampshire and Prospect. And on the opposite side from it is 7-Eleven. So some American landscape elements, unexpected, but there they are, and part of the fabric of Inman Square. As you cross over the light at Prospect and continue down Hampshire, you arrive at Oleana Restaurant on Hampshire Street, and this is Chef Anna Sortun's restaurant. It's Eastern Mediterranean fare and another foodie destination. They do have an outdoor patio out back, and it's active and busy. This is the very interesting and inviting entrance to the restaurant. And I'm glad, too, that they survived the pandemic and they're thriving once more. Going back again to the map to show Inman Square, and now we're going to move from the heart of Inman Square up Hampshire as it changes its name to Beacon as it crosses Cambridge and enters Somerville to see the other elements of Inman Square in the direction of Somerville. So here is the street sign that shows how you leave Cambridge and Hampshire Street, and just like that, magic, the street is Beacon Street and you're in Somerville. So still in Cambridge here at Vellucci Plaza, very close to the heart of Inman Square, and the main light is a preschool program. This is a newcomer. I wish them well. It's nice to see it. And they're sharing a space with a restaurant, Muna, Eastern Mediterranean, that's facing right onto Vellucci Plaza. And I know they're excited, not only for the pandemic to be over, but for the construction to be nearing completion so that they can really have the benefit of the urban fabric right out their door, inviting people in. I'm sure it'll be a boon. As you continue down now what is Beacon Street, there is Trina's Starlight Lounge and Parlor Sports sharing space, or neighbors, if you will, in this building. And here's Trina's Starlight Lounge. This is, a mainstay watering hole on this side of Inman Square, a hip cocktail lounge, if you will. And this is just a shot showing the front door. Love the Miller High Life sign. And its neighbor is Parlor Sports. This is its front door. It says they're established 2011. And, they're a classic sports bar. I happened to walk by it on my way to Whole Foods when the Celtics were in Game 7 in the playoffs, and the place was just humming, filled to the gills with excited fans and having a good time. And it's nice to see these establishments side by side in Inman Square. Opposite them on the other side of the street is your standard Walgreens pharmacy. Again, it's sort of surprising to see it here, like 7-Eleven and Shell, but they're part and parcel of the Inman Square neighborhood. And then just beyond Trina's and Parlor is Whole Foods Market. This used to be a Johnny's Food Master back in the day. Now it's part of the Whole Foods empire, and it's active, busy. draws just as many people coming by bicycle or on foot as it does by car. And nice to see they have these flowers out front. So again, just to finish the tour here, back in the heart of Inman Square, this is Vellucci Plaza coming to completion. The bike and the bicyclists on it, on the bike path running through the square, is emblematic of the fact that Inman Square is not just for cars, it's for pedestrians and bicyclists. And it's an active urban hub in Cambridge and one of the 5 squares. And it's a very busy place with so many restaurants and shops and services and residents. And it's really nice to see, as I've lived in the neighborhood for the last 20 plus years, that it's slowly over time improved and gotten bigger and better and busier in a good way. So this is Inman Square. Thought it would be nice to finish with this shot that includes the iconic Cambridge Savings Bank. I'm standing here essentially in front of the firehouse looking down Cambridge Street. And it's just such a nice square. It's really a good example of Cambridge as a place to call home. And I guess since it's neighboring on Somerville and includes Somerville to some extent, Somerville as well. So meet me in Inman Square. My name is Charles Cherney, and I welcome the opportunity to connect with you and be of service as you aim to buy the right home or sell for the best price in Cambridge or Somerville, be it in Inman Square or other neighborhoods of either city. Be in touch. Take care.